I'm going to type the same request into ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini twice. The first time around, you'll see that the output and the results are probably going to be generic rubbish. Nothing personalized or specific to what you actually are looking for. But the second results, 30 seconds later with a couple of tweaks, will be far better and more personalized. I'm going to show you the framework and the building blocks behind that and prove it to you live in 3 different tools. My name's Elliott Callender, and I help business owners and leaders to become AI native in practical and humanly understandable ways. If you want to follow along with me on this journey, then you can open ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini and use the links in the description below with the information. All right, let's go. So to get AI to do what you're actually looking for it to do, it's not rocket science. People believe that AI is this scary being that they don't understand and they perhaps don't actually know how to begin to use it. But it can be very, very useful, very powerful in lots of different things that you're doing in your business and in your life as well. And so instead of kind of thinking about it as something that you can't touch and you can't use, I'm going to help you go through that process of learning how to just get it to do some really interesting and useful things. So you do this every day, ultimately, with people that you interact with, the things that you are doing in your business, the people that you are speaking to, including your customers. So, you perhaps are asking people for specific reports, tasks to be done. You're giving briefs to people in order for them to do things. And you're also giving directions and orders, perhaps, as well. And so this is very familiar. That's exactly the same things that you're going to be doing with AI, but you're just going to be doing it in a specific kind of way that will give you better output. That's all that a prompt is. Ultimately, it's what you want plus how you want it equals the prompt. And so that's what we're going to explore. What you'll see is the same request is going to give you vastly different results if we tweak it in certain ways. You're probably using ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini in a stream of consciousness way where you're just giving it unstructured information and requests. And so ultimately, you're getting possibly something that is interesting, useful, perhaps. But if you were to take 30 seconds to structure it with just a few tweaks and giving it more structure, just like you would with a person when you're speaking to a teammate or a colleague, giving the document or what you are asking for a structure allows people to understand it better. And AI is no different in that sense. So that's what we're going to do today. This video is sponsored by me. If you've been watching this video and wondering how AI can be used in your business to make it more efficient, for you to reduce the amount of time that it takes for you to do things, or just do things much better, then I run Leader Lab sessions, which are one-on-one or group coaching sessions, where we go through AI from the ground up and you learn how to use AI, how to use the tools, and what it actually can do for you and your business and your team. If you're interested in that, then the link is below in the description, and I'd love to see you there. All right, back to the video. So, first of all, let's just dive into a quick demo of what I'm actually speaking about. We have this prompt, which is just telling the AI what you're looking for. And ultimately here, we're going to try to create a LinkedIn post about, some stuff. So we'll copy that and we'll go into ChatGPT. So first of all, if you're new to ChatGPT, then you'll have this screen here, which is just your chat space, and that allows you to chat with AI. You can go back and forth. One thing I want to highlight is up here, you have the model selector. So you have instant and thinking. Instant is going to give you instant results, but it doesn't do as much deeper thinking. Then you have thinking, which does deeper thinking, and you'll get better results usually, but you just have to wait a little bit longer. And so it's depending on your use case. I usually just use thinking because I want to get the best results anyway. So I'm going to select that and come into the chat box. Now I'm going to paste in my prompt. This is where you would just type in your prompt as well. and then I'm going to hit enter. So this will go off and have a little think about the request that you're actually asking for, and we'll get some results in a second, and we'll see what the output actually looks like and the format of it as well. So it's currently going off to the internet to pull in some information. It's done a little bit of research, and now it's writing the prompt. Sorry, it's writing the post. So we have the LinkedIn draft here. We have a nice bit of information. It's got some stats in there, but it's perhaps not quite actually what I'm looking for. The first thing is that I use British English rather than American English. And so I can see that it is using some of the words and language that I perhaps wouldn't use. And it's not really in the format that I'm looking for as well. It's just kind of generic stuff. Okay, so what we're now going to do is try this in another tool, which is Claude. Claude, and that is by Anthropic. So let's go over here. We'll take this. And so if you're new to Claude as well, this is very similar to ChatGPT. You have a chat box and you can select your model down here. Opus 4.6 is the current biggest, baddest, best brain that you can think of. And then you have Sonnet and Haiku. So depending on what you're actually doing and how you're doing it, I usually throw the biggest brain at the task because I want to get the best results. And so I'm going to select Opus, but you could absolutely use Sonnet for this as well. But I'm going to use Opus here. I'm going to paste that prompt back in, the thing that we are looking to actually get back from the AI, and I'm just going to press this button. So again, similarly to ChatGPT, it's gone out to the internet. It's got bringing in some stats, and it's now writing the post for us. So we have a post now, and again, it's got some stats, it's got some interesting information, but for me, it doesn't actually have what I'm looking for. It's a bit lengthy, and it's just not really, my kind of way of writing and tone. Okay, so that's another example of a different AI tool with the same request. We're going to now use Gemini and see what we get with that. Okay, this is Gemini, and again, we're met with a very similar and familiar UI. It has a chat box. You can select the model. So we have Fast, Thinking, Pro, and these will change over time. But again, I like to use the best brain and model that I can. So I'm going to go with Pro. If you haven't paid for a subscription, again, you might not have Pro, so you can just use Thinking, but use the best model that you have available at your fingertips, essentially. So again, I'm going to put the prompt into the chat box, and I'm going to hit enter, and we're going to see what it comes up with and compare the three different examples. So we have a post now, and again, it has some stats, information. It seems reasonably relevant. It's again using US English or American English rather than British English that I use. And so it's not something that I could use straight away. But this might be magic at the moment to you. If you haven't ever used an AI tool, it's creating something from nothing ultimately and allowing you to perhaps, streamline and systemize some of what you are creating. But we can do better. We can do better than this. And so what we're now going to do is explore how to get the AI to do what you actually want it to do and be much more useful. So let's just, first of all, take a look at the anatomy of a good prompt. What does a good prompt actually look like? And when I speak about a prompt, just remember, this is just you telling the AI in natural language, in English, French, Spanish, whatever language that you actually speak. You're just telling the AI what you're looking for and how you want it to actually go about the task or the process, the thing that you're looking to do. So first of all, the goal is important. Giving AI a goal and telling it what you actually want to do. The second part is the context. Who are you and what is your situation? What's the task? What is the information behind and what you're trying to get it to do? And then the format. How should the output actually look and feel? And then constraints. So what do you want it to avoid and what do you want it to actually focus on? So building your prompt in 4 different kind of layers is just going to give you so much better output. It's going to be much more personalized and tailored to what you're looking to get it to do. So here's another example that I created earlier. And this one is it's using the 4 different components. So we have the goal here, which is write a LinkedIn post about how AI is changing the way small business owners work. The context is there as well. So it's telling it a little bit about who I am and what I do. We have the format. So I'm giving it a format to actually focus on and create the output with. So I want 150 to 200 words. I want an opening hook. I want 3 short paragraphs, etc. And then constraints. So no jargon. We saw in the previous one there was some jargon, and we don't want any hype. And especially we want to be using British English. And so whatever your constraints are, you can of course add those in, but we're going to give that a try. So let's copy that and we're going to dive into ChatGPT first and see how it goes. So let's just paste that in. And if you were doing this by yourself, you would just write goal and then I want to create a LinkedIn post. And so you would go through the process of giving it those 4 components and that would be that. However, I'm going to be efficient and just paste this in. So let's hit enter and see what it does. So we can see that it's created the 3 paragraphs and it's added a little bit of information about the company, Remote Humans, which is my business, and it is using British English, and it's then it's given it a bit more of a friendly conversational tone rather than it being stat filled and the like. And so this is a much better output, and I could then edit it. I could have another conversation with the AI to say, well, actually, maybe I don't want to have the 3rd paragraph say certain things. So I would just have a back and forth conversation with it, and eventually you would get the output that you're actually looking for and could use. So let's give that a try again in Claude and see how that goes. All right, we're back here. So let's just paste that in and hit enter. So we've got a little bit of a post coming through. All right, great. So it actually feels pretty similar to ChatGPT, but again, we have the 3 paragraphs, we have British English, and it has followed my guidelines and instructions. And so this is far better output than we had before, which was just generic stuff that it thought we wanted to use and have. So let's dive into what Gemini actually brings and creates. Okay, let's paste that in, hit enter, see what it does. All right, we have another post, and again, it's followed the guidelines and instructions that I gave it. It's given us 3 paragraphs, it's mentioned remote humans, and it has a bit more of a conversational tone. It's asked a question at the end for engagement, and so that's a much better post, ultimately, in my eyes. And that will be far better to make my process, content creation, etc. far more efficient and quicker. So let's explore how you can then start to iterate on this. It's a conversation, like I mentioned. And so you can refine everything that you have created until you are happy with what it is outputting, and then you can just simply use that in your task, in your workflow, or in your life. And so it's very simple to just keep talking with the AI to explore how to edit. So let's go back to ChatGPT, and we're going to make things shorter. We're going to tweak things and all of that. Okay, we're back in ChatGPT. Let's just ask it to make this 100 words instead, please. Sometimes I say please to the AI. I'm not sure if you do the same, but I like to be polite to everyone, including the digital beings. All right, so previously we had a little bit of a lengthier post. We've just asked it to make it 100 words instead, and it's given us a shorter post to use. And so it's very simple in that back and forth, telling it exactly what you're looking for, and you'll be surprised what output you get. So on this magical AI journey that you're going on, and we're going on, you're probably still at level 1 when it comes to using AI. That means that you're asking AI questions and you're getting answers. And we've kind of moved slightly further along to level 2, which is giving it some of your preferences and making sure that it's kind of guiding how the AI actually should think and the output that you're creating and what that should look like. And then if you move further along the journey, you'll start to give it some skills, and it will then learn much more about who you are, what your business does, what your team context is, your customers, and then it will start to follow those workflows, and you'll get far better output as well. And so then if you move further along the spectrum, you have making the AI actually sound like you. And that's something that I hear from people frequently, where they tell me that AI, or ChatGPT especially, is very robotic and it doesn't sound anything like them. But once you get AI to actually sound like you, and we'll be going through that, that is where you start to be able to use it for lots of different use cases. So it could be emailing, it could be creating reports, briefs, etc. And then really further down the line is what I call remote humans. And these are AI agents or digital team members and teammates, ultimately, which are much more autonomous. They pick up on your workflows and your tasks, and they can create whole sets of outputs without you necessarily needing to guide it and ask it to do all of that stuff at every single point. And so, you can start to think of it as assistant, and it's a very clever and very, very smart assistant at that. That's coming soon. We're going to go on that journey together, and I will show you how to use AI in each of these levels that allows you to really understand what AI can do and what it can do in your world. So that's the framework: goals, context, format, and constraints. And if you use that every single time that you use AI, you'll be further ahead than 90% of the people, and you'll get much better results than them as well. However, are you really going to type that in each and every time that you use AI? Probably not, I'm guessing. So I've created another video which allows you to understand how to get the same output each and every time from AI without you having to put that in each and every time as well. And that should be around here or around there.